Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a podcast by Practical E-Commerce.
What's going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz here, founder of Beardbrand, and you are listening to another e-commerce conversation. I am here with Shakil Prasla, the founder of SZ Ventures here in Austin, Texas, and we are on part 12 of building an e-commerce conversation, and we're going to talk about how to acquire and grow multiple e-commerce businesses. How's it going, Shakil?
Hey, good, Eric. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's a beautiful day here in Austin, Texas. A little nippy, but excited about this talk today. I've always admired business people who can manage multiple different businesses. It blows my mind how you can do it. I can barely put my pants on in the morning, let alone run one company. And you've got, what are you up to, 15?
I have 12 companies now.
12 companies now. So take me through, how do you go from one? Well, I guess start me from the beginning. How do you go from 1 to 2? And what does that look like?
Yeah, so my journey was in 2013. I just graduated with my MBA, and I started my first company called ProCuffs.com. We sold men's accessories, cufflinks, tie clips, watches. And it took about a year for me to be able to build the website out, get the suppliers down, fail, learn from those strategies, build a marketing plan. It took a long time until I became profitable, about a year. And
I don't think a year is really a long time.
Well, it was. And again, I was bootstrapping everything too. It was just me, myself, doing everything. And the amount of growth I was getting was pretty slow. And so after that first year, once I got the basics of e-commerce down, I started looking at other opportunities. I thought about, should I consult other folks? Should I just buy another company? And it just so happens that I was targeted with an ad saying, are you interested in buying an e-commerce company? This was in 2014 through Quiet Light Brokerage. I saw their ad. So I went to their listing and I subscribed to them. A few weeks later, I came across a website for sale and requested a prospectus. And when I was reading through it, I realized that this company was just getting all the traffic through organic. They didn't do any paid advertising. They weren't selling on Amazon or eBay or anything like that. So I thought to myself, well, I understand how that works. Let me just buy this company. It was a small investment too at that time. I bought the company and I bought it at a 2x multiple. So in 2014, that's usually what the small businesses were going for. So if it's making $50,000, you could buy it for $100,000.
Now that's net profit, or is that revenue?
Net profit. It's actually considered seller's discretionary earnings, very similar to net profit. Okay. And so it's just 2x that. And so I bought it thinking, hey, I'll get my money back in 24 months, which is a great investment. Turned on Google Ads, sold on Amazon, and I made my money back in 6 months. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Let me do this again. And so I bought my second business 6 months later, and then I bought my third business. At that point, now I have 4 businesses, and I think I only have one VA at the time. So I'm managing 4 businesses. I'm getting super stressed out at that time. I'm making really good money, but it was the life-work balance I wasn't able to get. So around 2015, I was part of this Facebook group for people that are in e-commerce, and you're introducing yourself, and I saw someone introduce themselves, a guy named Pervez from Houston. He's in e-commerce. He has a prescription sunglasses company. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm in e-commerce. You're in e-commerce. Want to get together? We got together over a Christmas break 3 years ago, and we just hit it off. And we just brainstormed some ideas. Hey, let's acquire more companies. I already do it anyways. Let's combine both of our money together, buy something bigger. And so in 2015 to 2018, now we've acquired 8 companies. And, they range from 6 to 7 figures in acquisitions. And so up to 12, if you combine the whole portfolio, we're well into the 8 figures in sales, 40 plus employees. And
That's crazy, man. Like it just blows my mind. So that all happened in the course of what, 3 or 4 years, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty rapid growth. Are you, I see and hear 12 companies, and I think 12 different operations, 12 different, like sourcing processes, 12 different platforms, 12 different HR policies. Is that the way it is, or is there any kind of synergy in having all these different businesses?
No, so that's a good question. So whenever we buy a company, they come with their own sort of HR policy, their vacation policy. They come with their own growth goals. They come with their own employees and senior management. And so what we do is we bring them onto our platform. So when I acquire a company, I don't care what product it is. I don't care what platform it is, as long as it's making money and it has a opportunity for growth. If it meets those 2 criteria, I'll buy it. And so what we do is when we acquire them, we sort of bring them into our ecosystem. And the way now our whole platform or our whole business company works is our larger companies now have their own CEO in place. So the CEO's job is to run the whole company.
And what do you consider a larger company? What type of revenue?
So they do anywhere from 2 to 15 million in sales.
Okay.
And so when we bring them into our ecosystem, we have the CEO in place. And so they do everything from supplier relationships to hiring, firing, to the growth strategies. It's basically taking the owner out of the equation. Most of the people I think in e-commerce fuel, a lot of them are sort of the owner operators. I try to take that out of the picture, and I try to make it CEO operator. It's very hard to do. It's very hard to trust someone to run a business, especially because you've invested so much money to buy the business, right? But we have a nice process in place to finding a good CEO, empowering them to make the decisions as well. So we have the CEOs in place, and on the back end, we're building what I call a back end system. So we have shared resources. So we have content writers, we have graphic designers, we have SEO, we have ad specialist, we have a developer on staff as well. So all of those people are part of the company. So the CEO could use any of those resources to help grow the company.
That's pretty cool. So you essentially have those employees are part of like SV Ventures. I guess they're all part of SVZ Ventures.
Yeah.
But like the individual brands, I would imagine, kind of have like their own little their communities, right? If you have a $2 million company or $10 million company, you probably have 5 employees, something like that. So you don't want to just like destroy those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way it works is, so the back end system is the only shared resources, but they all work in silos as well. And so, the larger company, they have, I think, 11 employees. And so they focus just on engineer supply, and that's it. And same with the CEO. What we do is we do have weekly meetings with our partners and the CEO to see how the business is going. Are we meeting the metrics? And once a month, we get all the CEOs, all the whole team in place to kind of share best strategies, right? So the customer service manager can talk to the other customer service manager. even the product guy talk to the other product guy. Just build synergies as well as share practices and what's not working. But overall, they do work in silos within each group.
Yeah. So I want to, I think I could probably talk for 4 hours on this. So I want to kind of knock out the core points real quick. First of all, how do you find the companies? And then walk me through like the negotiation process, the due diligence, what that looks like, what are the red flags when you walk away from a deal? How many deals are you doing and how many deals fall through? Just kind of the ins and outs of the actual finding the businesses.
Yeah. So, so the way I'm finding a lot of deals now is through my network, which is kind of cool. Like I usually get first dibs on a business coming for sale, because once you build that relationship with brokers, they're willing to just kind of work with you, show you the first business before they show it to the public. But generally, you could still find e-commerce businesses or even SaaS or affiliate, whatever you're looking for, on Biz Buy Sell. That's kind of a brokerage company that shows every single business for sale. But specifically, if you're only looking for online businesses, you could check out Centurica, CENTURICA.com. And it's basically a listing that shows every single online business for sale. That's a great place to look first. Me personally, I probably look at over 100 deals a year, out of which I will specifically look further into it before offering. I probably look at maybe 10 to 15 deals where I actually talk to the seller. Out of 10 to 15 deals a year, I will place an offer on 5 and I'll follow through or buy 3.
Okay.
So that's the funnel. As far as the first step you have to do if you want to buy a business is you submit what's called a letter of intent, which is a basic 3-page paper that shows like the terms, what you're going to pay, how you're going to pay it, and any other terms if you want to keep the seller on it for a few months. Once that's agreed upon, and remember, right now I consider this a buyer's market, so there's a lot of buyers out there. And so a couple of the last businesses we've bought has had to be over asking price. It's the way the business is right now. And so once you get the LOI in place, you go through a due diligence. Normally, due diligence is about 30 days. And this is where you play a detective. You verify the financials. So usually, the seller will give you the tax returns, authorize.net, if they're on Shopify, credit card statements, bank statements. So you pretty much have to go through all of that to make sure the numbers that they're telling you is correct. Now, this is where the biggest pitfall I see is sometimes the sellers may miss a thing or intentionally not included, right? Remember, you're buying these businesses based off the multiple of the net profit. So if they hide $1,000 and it's a 3x multiple, they just hit $3,000 in value. And I'm not saying all sellers do this, but this is where if you're buying the business, you better do a good job at playing detective. And so I don't have a CPA background, but you have to calculate everything together to see if the numbers are making sense. That's the number one thing. Number two thing is I like to see the operations as well to make sure it's very transparent. Looking at the suppliers to see if they're not just one-off corporations and stuff. I want to make sure. Sorry, I'm going to bring up a story, but once I found a buyer who owned the supplier as well, and they never disclosed that, right? So they're giving favorable terms to their own company, right? So these are things that you're just going to have to like Google or figure out or do some research. Another thing you want to play detective in is where the traffic's coming from. Is it all coming from Facebook? If it's all coming from Facebook, are they doing a good job with sort of the audiences? Are they drawing out? If it's all emails, do they have a process in place to collecting more emails? If it's all coming from Google, did they do any black hat SEO? So there's tools, SEO Moz. You could get access to their Facebook accounts. The website I mentioned, Centurica.com, it's ran by a guy named Chris Yates, super nice guy. But they have a due diligence package as well where they do all this due diligence for you. So if you're a newbie or if you've never done this before, pay those guys to just do all this due diligence for you. It's the safe way to kind of go through this. But yeah, really, you're just playing detective on the marketing, the financials, and the operations.
Yeah. When you look for a company to buy, the assumption is the seller will be out within a short period of time, and then you have to hire that CEO. Is that generally what your strategy is?
So the strategy is when I submit the letter of intent, that is my intention of buying the company. And so at the same time I'm doing due diligence, I'm looking for a CEO. And so, we have a nice process of CEO, but I'll just sum it up that we're able to find a CEO. We put up a job listing on LinkedIn, e-commerce Fuel, ZipRecruiter through our own network, but we hire someone during the due diligence phase. And so we're sort of on a time clock because the due diligence will be ending, within 30 or 45 days. So we hire someone during that time. And the point of that is we want to expose them to sort of researching along with us. So now they're kind of thinking the same way we are. This is where we start aligning goals. This is where we're learning from the seller. After we acquire the company, I always keep the seller on for at least 2 months. And we do what is called a consulting agreement. And so the point of the 2 months is to transfer all the knowledge. If these guys have been running this company for 5 to 10 years, that's a lot of stuff to learn from them. It's hard to do in 2 months, but we try to learn as much as we can and transfer that knowledge to the CEO.
Okay. It seems like it would be really hard to find a CEO in 1 month, and know that CEO is going to be a good CEO or a good fit for the business. Talk a little bit more about that process and how you filter them. How do you make sure you get a good team member in there?
Yeah, I think finding a good business manager or CEO is very integral to the success of the company. And because we're sort of, if I had it my way, if the structure was different, I'd be patient to find someone like that. But because of our model of trying to find someone, because I'm not trying to, when I buy a business, I'm not trying to buy a full-time job for myself, right? I'm doing it for investment purposes. And so we're very aggressive in trying to find someone. And the chances of someone looking for a job at the same time we're posting something, that just has to coincide with each other. And so the only way we could find people is I like to, podcasts like these help, where I just put it out there that, hey, we're acquiring companies. If you're interested to learn with the entrepreneur, come talk to me. Through the network, it helps a lot. But we're very aggressive on ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn. We're just spending a lot of ad money to find someone. And it's not just in Austin. It's not just in Houston, but it's all over the U.S. where we pay a relocation bonus as well. And so the type of people I like to look for is someone with some type of management background, some type of digital marketing background. The ideal person is a senior digital marketer that works for agency, because those people have clients and they also have junior analysts underneath them. So they're used to performing for the clients and they're used to having people report to them, and they're marketers. So they have the growth goals, they have the experience. So those are perfect people to be positioned for this job. The way we, once we find someone, once we've kind of had the job listing, the way you incentivize them is we always do a base salary. We're very competitive on our base salary and benefits, but we also do incentives. And so how do you keep someone on and not let them run away and start their own business, right? And so the way we do it is we have a thing called anniversary bonus. So every 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, however many years you're on, it's tiered, but you get a higher bonus each year. Mm-hmm. The second incentive is
for all employees or just
the CEOs?
Just the CEO.
Just the CEOs. And the second incentive is we have an exit bonus as well. So I'm not trying to I'm not trying to do all this portfolio, having all these companies for 10 years. My goal is to exit in 3 years. Okay. And it's to get to a nice size where we start attracting private equity firms, right? The only way you could start attracting those people is if you get to at least 5 million in EBITDA. And so now we're racing towards that in the next, a few years, is to definitely get well past that to position ourselves to exit. But we tell that to our CEOs that, hey, you're going to be here for, we're going to look to exit, but you could learn along the way. You're going to be the CEO. It's a great resume booster. You have a steady income, and you get incentives along the way, right? So, those things definitely help. And then finally, we also do a profit sharing incentive as well, where if we buy a company that's doing 100,000 in monthly income and they are able to grow it to 150,000, they get a bonus off that $50,000 growth. Yeah. So that's how we, get them into the mindset of, all right, I have to grow the company to be able to make more money. And we really empower them. I really empower these folks I let them do what they need to do. What we do is every time we buy a business, we come up with 3 goals. I usually keep them really short, 3 to 4 goals, that's it. Let's just say one of them is to get to $10 million in revenue. Well, how do you get to $10 million in revenue? Then we backtrack it. We need this amount of visitors. We need to make this conversion this much. Well, how do you improve the conversion? Well, you have to make the website look better. You have to offer this or that. And so we keep backtracking it until we make them into monthly actionable items. And so that's what the CEO focuses on this roadmap plan. And we empower them by letting them make the choices and letting them make mistakes. And if we catch a mistake, we'll say, hey, maybe you should have tried this, right? I intentionally, if any of the managers or CEOs Skypes me or Slacks me or he sends me an email, I intentionally take my time to answer, because what that does, it makes them go look for the answer quicker. Yeah. And it builds that process of, all right, I need to start doing this myself. I'm definitely there. I act as the chairman, advisor to them, but it's their job to make the company running and growing it as well.
Now, what about like the knowledge for the product side and the logistics side? I imagine like running the ops side is so much different than actually growing a company. Are you not putting resources back into new products and pumping that out, or is it just focusing on kind of growing it and exiting?
Yeah, so I think growth definitely comes from efficiencies and adding products as well. And so, one thing a lot of people ask me is, one of the companies we bought is a socks company. Do we find someone with a socks background? No. As long as you have the skills and experience, you can learn the product. And that's the sort of the way I look at it, is you don't have to be super experienced in product. As far as operations, we're always looking for efficiencies into adding new product lines, right? How do we come up with new products? What do customers keep asking for? This is the CEO's job. One of the ways to really grow the company is to add a better mix of product line. And they know that, and that's what we try to do. I will note, though, that one of the model we're aiming for now is custom dropship products. And so what that means is we offer a lot of custom products on our website that is pretty much made by the manufacturer and ships to the customer. So like metal business cards, challenge coins, customized ping pong paddles, customized socks, customized greeting cards. I mean, this is our model, is what we're aiming for now. And it's because it helps with that aspect out of the customer makes it themselves. It gets made by the manufacturer and gets shipped to the directly customer. So we don't have to buy raw materials. We don't have to get cash flow problems or anything like that.
Speaking of cash flow, how are you financing these deals? Is it just through profit of SV or SZ? I don't know why.
Yeah, that's okay. It's actually been renamed to ProClickVentures.com as well.
There you go.
But
That's a lot easier for me.
Yeah, ProClick Ventures. No, that's a good question. When I initially started buying companies, it was all out of pocket, all cash deals. But when I started, my mouth started watering when I started looking at these bigger deals. I wanted to be part of this. And so I'll give you, examples. The last business we bought was doing 7 figures in net profit. When you get to that size, there's no way, unless you exit with a super big company, you don't have that much cash in the bank account, right? So there's different options for getting financing. And so I'll give you a few examples. Now banks are willing to give financing for e-commerce deals. Before they were against it, right? These are non-tangible assets. They're not real estate and stuff, right? So what banks are willing to do is they're willing to give you 2 different types of financing. One's the traditional, where you have to guarantee your own personal cash flows or your other business cash flows as collateral. So you could borrow against those cash flows. So if business A is making $100,000 debt free, or you have income of $100,000 debt free, you get up to 5 times that much. But you have to hold yourself as a personal guarantor or the business as collateral. Second way, the more popular way, is a thing called SBA, which is backed by the government. And it's through the banks as well. But the great part about these deals is you only have to put down 10%, right? So if you're buying a $1 million business, you only have to put down 10%. Now, let's just say you don't even have $100,000 to put down. What I like to do is you could raise that money. If you have experience in e-commerce, if you're an investment banker, whatever you are, you're going to have friends or family that are willing to back you. Just give them a bit of equity. Say, hey, I'm buying this company for your $100,000. I'll give you 20%. So now you have your $100,000 as a down payment. You get the $900,000 from the SBA. More likely than not, SBAs are getting very prevalent now. So more likely than not, you will get that loan. So you have the bank financing. Let's say you're not able to get any of those. Your credit sucks or whatever it is. You have an option of owner financing. So you tell the seller that, hey, I want to buy your business. Here's my experience. I'm very driven. Can you act like a bank and help me finance the deal? Sometimes they'll say yes. Sometimes they'll say no. It's more risk on them. Why are they willing to take the risk? But if you're able to build that relationship up, you're able to kind of help win that seller financing. And I've been able to do that. 2 other strategies is what I call the holdback or performance payout. Is you put up a little bit up front, but you hold back part of the cash flow, whether it's a fixed one or performance-based. If it's performance-based, then you just say that, hey, if the business performs the way it was, you, seller, will get the rest of your money. If it dips by 20%, then you get 20% less money. And so what that forces the seller to do is help you on the business on an ongoing basis, right? They want to be paid out. They want to make sure you do well. So that's a great way to do it. So I've used all these strategies. There's, you could do credit union loans, loans against life insurances. There's different ways to get money for sure.
Yeah, I've heard stories where like sellers won't buy inventory, right?
Yep.
During the process of selling it, and then all of a sudden the business, they wipe their hands clean of it and it tanks and stuff like that. So I think it's always nice to have a little bit of security in there to make sure that the business performs well, so they don't just, hand you over a nasty business that you got to fix. On day one. So you've got the capital. Talk a little more about the larger businesses. Are those going to still be at like 2x, or do you get higher multiples the bigger the business is?
Yeah, so usually I'll talk about net profit wise. Usually if it's between 100,000 to 500,000 in net profit, you're going to get between a 2 to 2.5x. Once you're above that $500,000, it starts kind of climbing up to that 3x. Once you're to that $1 million net profit mark, you're at that 3.5x. And, it incrementally gets higher and higher. And our goal is to, get past that 5 million and exit at 7x is our goal. But yeah, as you get larger, your valuation goes higher based off the multiple.
Okay. So have you had any successful exits?
I have not. And so I now that I've built a portfolio, now I've built the processes and systems in place, I'm starting to think about that now. When I first got into it was just about making money. Yeah. And they're good, right? When you're able to buy things off 2x, I consider that super cheap. That's a 50% return on your money. But now as I'm growing, as my lifestyle changes and stuff, I'm definitely looking to exit. And so now we're going to get rid of the smaller companies and focus on our 4 or 5 large ones where we could get that to that 5 million plus EBITDA and exit after that.
Yeah. Do you think you could lump the businesses together to a buyer, or?
Yeah. So in the talks I've had with private equity firms and investment bankers and other, big buyers out there is, even me, I would prefer to buy a single business, right? But what a lot of them actually see also is diversity, right? You're not focused on one product line. Now it's, 4 different product lines. In each product or each business has different ways of traffic, right? Facebook, Google, email, organic. So now you have not only 4 different businesses, you have 4 different ways of traffic, right? So there's a lot of diversity. And what we're trying to do is now build kind of that ecosystem, those processes and systems in place where these 4 companies have a CEO. They have this shared backend. They're run in silos, but they do have these resources. And not only am I selling you cash flows, I'm willing to stay on as well to consult these companies and help you buy larger companies as well. So it's just giving them that comfort that, yes, you're giving me a high multiple, but I'm also giving you established businesses that have a refined process in place. And I'm giving you sort of our experience in helping you guys acquire even larger companies then.
Yeah, pretty much turnkey.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, is there anything you would like to promote for yourself or your business for our listeners?
Well, yeah. So at ProClick Ventures, formerly known as SZ Ventures, we're always looking to just hire folks, really. As we're acquiring companies, we're always looking for CEOs or people that are interested to get to e-commerce. And we're definitely looking for digital marketers and SEO folks who are willing to maybe work remotely, prefer to move to our Houston headquarters. So, if anyone is interested, you guys are welcome to reach out to me.
And how do they contact you?
So, best way is email, Shakil, SHAKIL @proclickventures.com.
Cool. And that's just CLICK, click, normal click.
Yep. Yeah, I know some people do
What kind of startup are you, man?
I know, right?
Cool. Well, this has been another e-commerce conversations. Loved having you on the show, Shakil, and I've learned a ton. And it's, again, a conversation that maybe we'll explore down the road, or definitely follow along and get you back on when you have your first successful exit. We can talk about that.
Awesome.
So I appreciate it. As always, guys, thanks for listening. Cheers. Keep on growing.